Hello then, I do hope you're all well. Now this is a belter. Now, remember earlier on, well, it'll be yesterday when this video comes out, our Home Secretary Priti Patel just finished her inane drivel with this Rwanda deportation statement that she delivered. Shadow Home Secretary stood up and, as most days, she just rips apart anything that Priti Patel's done, because she's not the brightest, is she? But anyway, she rips apart this Priti Patel news propaganda machine, so to speak, and basically dismantled her Rwanda Migration Plan after the news the night before that UK courts had stopped about 4 of the apparent 7 that were supposed to have been taken to Rwanda for deportation. And the Shadow Home Secretary also asked how many will be heading in the other direction, i.e. from Rwanda back to the UK, in this Rwanda refugee plan. And also she asked how much will we be giving to Rwanda. And let's just say, in the current world, mad world of politics, she didn't hold back.
Cooper. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. This is a shambles, and it is shameful, and the Home Secretary has no one but herself to blame. This is not, and never has been, a serious policy, and she knew that when she chartered the plane. She knew that among the people she was planning to send to Rwanda on this plane were torture and trafficking victims. She knew she didn't have a proper screening process in place. She knew that some of them might be children. So can she confirm it was the Home Office itself that withdrew a whole series of these cases on Friday and yesterday because they knew there was a problem with these cases, that even without the European Court of Human Rights judgment, she was planning to send a plane with just 7 people on board because she'd had to withdraw most of the cases at the last minute?
Do you think she'll have got an answer?
She knows that there is a lack of proper asylum capacity in Rwanda to make fair decisions, that, as the UNHCR says, they only normally deal with a few hundred cases a year. There's normally only one eligibility officer who prepares the cases, and that's as well as the lack of interpreters or legal advice to ensure fair decisions. Now, she promised there will be extra payments to Rwanda for each person that is transferred, presumably to pay for those extra caseworkers or extra support, but she still refused to tell us how much. So what is she hiding? Will she tell us now how much she promised Rwanda for each of the people she was planning to send yesterday, and how many Rwandan refugees she promised to take in return?
I bet she don't answer that one either.
She knows that serious concerns have been raised about Rwandan restrictions on political freedom, on the treatment of people who are LGBT, on the fact that 12 refugees were shot by the authorities in 2018 for protesting against food cuts, on the fact that there have been Afghan and Syrian asylum seekers returned by Rwanda, and she knows that none of those concerns have been addressed. She knows too that the policy will not work. We need action to tackle dangerous criminal gangs who are putting lives at risk. But she knows that her policies won't achieve that, and that is not their objective. Because if it was, she would not have asked the National Crime Agency, whose job it is to target the criminal gangs, to draw up 20% staff cuts. That is potentially 1,000 people being cut from the organisation that works to tackle the gangs. So can she confirm, has she asked the NCA to draw up plans for staff cuts? If she was serious, she would be taking seriously the fact that the Israel-Rwanda deal ended up increasing criminal people trafficking and smuggling, and that her plan risks making things worse. And if it was, she would be working night and day to get a better joint plan with France to crack down on the gangs and to stop the boats being put into the water in the first place. But she isn't, because her relationship with French ministers has totally broken down. If she was serious about tackling illegal migration, illegal economic migration, or cutting the bills for people in hotels, she would be speeding up Home Office decision-making so refugees can get support and those who aren't can be returned home. Instead, her decisions have totally collapsed from 28,000 a year to just 14,000 decisions a year, fewer than Belgium, the Netherlands, never mind Germany or France. And she's so badly failing to take those basic decisions, she is trying to pay a country thousands of miles away to take decisions for us instead. How shameful does that make us look around the world if our Home Office cannot take those basic decisions? She knew about problem after problem. With her policy, she knows this is unworkable, unethical, and won't stop the criminal gangs, but yet she still went ahead and spent £500,000 chartering a plane she never expected to fly. She still went ahead and wrote a £120 million cheque to Rwanda with a promise of more to come, and she still went ahead because all she really cares about is picking fights and finding someone else to blame. This isn't a long-term plan, it is a short-term stunt. Everyone can see it. It's not serious policy, it's shameless posturing, and she knows it. It's not building consensus, it's just pursuing division. It is government by gimmick. It's not in the public interest, it's just in their political interest. And what are they prepared to trash along the way? People's lives, our basic British values of fairness, decency and common sense, and the reputation of our nation. Our country is better than this. We've a long tradition of hard work and stepping up to tackle problems, not to offload them, to tackle the criminal gangs who put lives at risk, and to do right by refugees. That is what she should be doing now, and not this shambles that is putting our country to shame.
Look at face on it. Face you could chop meat on. Good God, she looks like she's ready to drop a dead otter at the side of Tom Purr's glove, doesn't she? Well, look at his face on him. Trying to look all good on it. Well, we saw how he acted at last cross-party select committee to get the teeth in cross-party select committee for asylum and immigration. They just chewed him up, didn't they? When you get chewed to bits by a dying Abbott, you know you're in trouble. But let's just say, did she answer any of these questions? These quite important questions, you know. These questions like, how much of taxpayers' money are you wasting on this vanity scheme of trying to look tough and strong when you knew full well that that plane was never going to take off? I remember when I saw the picture on the Sky app, the first one that come up, and it was there for ages. To me, it just looked like just optics, you know. Let's just show that we mean business, knowing full well that it was never going to take off. And like I said, were it £500,000 or something to fill it up or something? I don't know. I might be misquoting there. But I think they knew deep down that that plane was never going to take off. But it's a case of heads we win, tails we win. If that plane had taken off with them, immigrants, they're refugees, that have been saying, look at us, we're tough and strong on refugees and these illegal migrants, or as John Redwood would like to call them, economic migrants. And if that had been taken off, tails still win, because for simple reason, just blame it on lefty lawyers, and it's always somebody else's fault, isn't it? But look at stare of it. That's our Home Secretary. Now, I could have played you what she had to say after, but for me personally, it's like I would prefer to get hold of my last bit of the back of my hair and stick my head down the toilet and flush it, because it's less traumatic. That's our Home Secretary. She's an embarrassment. And who's she trying to kid with this thing that's going to stop these human traffickers? We've already proved that it doesn't work. But never mind. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on. But I do hope you enjoyed that, because, again, I ripped apart Rwanda migration plan scheme and statement and all that, made a fool out of her. Anyway, I do hope you enjoy the video. Until the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.